Hello English 10, this is Mrs. Long, and it is our last week of October. I cannot believe this semester is flying by. It's just gone. It's going to be November. I don't know about you, but I feel like as soon as Halloween is over from November 1st, it's just one big blur till the end of the semester. And we're on the verge there. We do have a lot of fun stuff going on this week with Halloween, and I hope you're able to participate in some of that with the school and do some fun things on your own. Certainly fall festivals, lots of different things going on. So anyway, we are beginning the second session of Unit 3, and this is continuing our Steinbeck unit, looking at different patterns in literature. We are going to continue to read, respond, discuss, and create in this unit with the goal of recognizing connections, becoming a stronger reader, thinking about the process of reading and how we analyze text, and recognizing patterns and structures. So that is our goal for the week, or for the unit, but for our week as well. And in this week, we'll be doing certain learning activities, very similar to what you've done last week. It's pretty straightforward. Reading journal, a found poem, which I'll explain in a moment, and we'll continue the discussion that you started last week. And as usual, here's a suggested schedule to space that work out. So your first task is going to be to continue reading your book. So you're going to continue reading your book using the reader response journal that you started last week. Same exact template. You can use it as a Google Doc here, or you can access it at the bottom of this page here. You may need to make some alterations to your reading schedule if you found that last week was a little busy for you, which it very well may have been. But you'll get a chance to catch up on your reading this week and submit your reading journal. And that will be your first 50 points for the week. Then from there, you'll be looking at the discussion. And just to clarify, you will see 5 discussions on your grades report, but you are only to do one of them. And it won't be graded until the very end of the unit. And at that time, you should have 12 or more posts in total. The point of this is that you could really have an extended discussion where you go on and you go back and forth with the things that you posted the previous week. So while I'll be looking for the same thing on the rubric that you would normally do, one post per week of your own, 2 responses each week, and then so by the end you'd have 4 total, 8 responses, 12 total. It won't be graded until the very end. So in session 1, you were to go on and introduce yourself and comment on your initial impressions of the book, the setting, the characters, what you think of the language, anything that got your attention as you started off. In this session, I specifically want you to comment on patterns, motifs, and archetypes. And your response should be about 150 to 300 words long, so not something insubstantial, something that really conveys your thoughts. And if you recall, from any literature study you've done, these patterns allow us, like paper dolls or paper figures you might have done in grade school. These motifs and archetypes allow us to have some kind of predictability. If you know that this is a pattern, you can know what's coming, and that as a reader helps you to understand what's going on. So a motif is a recurring object, idea, structure, theme, color, pattern, number. It could be a lot of different things. So for Raisin in the Sun, the house was always in every scene. There were reappearing hints at feminism. Mama kept tending to that plant. So a lot of those motifs you may have been familiar with from there. And this video here gets into some of the common motifs you've seen in literature. Archetypes may be very familiar to you. There are archetypes in characters and archetypes in plots. Disney's really good at this. And I say Disney because I've got small children, right? So Disney's really good at creating patterns in their characters. There's always a good guy, there's always a bad guy. The princess always has an evil stepmother. And there's just different predictability there. So these are some resources you can use on understanding archetypes. Some of you who are more into anime may get something out of this. The Peter Pan ideas will be here. Character archetypes. There's some movies that might help you to understand this better. And Kurt Vonnegut, our author from the previous short story unit, had something to say about archetypes and plots and how plots are very predictable. So a lot of that is just background information so that when you get to the discussion board, you can give a post on what patterns, motifs, and archetypes you have found so far in your Steinbook novel. Remember, you are posting an initial response and then responding to other students. And if you haven't already posted on your discussion board initially, just to give who you are and why you're interested in the book and what your initial thoughts are, please make sure you do last week's post first, but then this week continue on with this. Just a reminder, you'll be clicking on only the one that is relevant to you. The Pearl, for example, has some of those initial reminders about how it's being graded and the discussion board rubric here. And from there, you'll just go on with the post topic that I give you each week. This one in blue is actually for just last week, but then the one for this week is about patterns and motifs. So that's kind of where we're going on that. And then our last activity for the week is a found poem. You may think of this as magnetic poetry. You know those fun little magnets you had all over your refrigerator or your teacher had all over her filing cabinet, and you could create poems by putting words together. Essentially, that's what you're doing with your text. So you're going to go back to your text, your novel. You're going to find a passage that maybe has a lot of description, a lot of meaning to you, has a key idea of the book, and you're going to take out some of those words from the passage. Maybe you want to physically cut them up into other little pieces and put together a poem. And that poem should have roughly the same idea of the original. Should be about 12 lines long and should have a distinct idea, the idea that is parallel to that in the novel. So you're looking at the same communication, the same idea, but just a different pattern, a different type of communication. And so you'll go from there and submit that. And that will wrap up your week. And then next week will be very similar as we continue reading our Steinbeck. And in the final week, as we look ahead, you will be working on some creative projects to display your knowledge of Steinbeck. So I hope you guys have a great week. Be in touch if you have any questions. And happy week.